It's hard to put Chainsaw Man into a box because it's a manga unlike anything else out there. It's equal parts violent, messy, and it possesses a high level of emotional connection, so this shonen is much more than meets the eye. Out of all the unforgettable characters Chainsaw Man has introduced, Reze stands out as truly one of a kind. On the surface, she may come off as super sweet and magnetic, but the OG fans know that she's more than just a love interest. With her stepping into the spotlight in the new movie, there's a good chance we'll get to see more layers of Reze, so stick around until the end of this video as we explore this hybrid's origin and anatomy. Who is Reze, and where does she come from? Reze, a slender young girl with stunning green eyes and purple hair, who first debuted in the 40th episode of Chainsaw Man, comes off as an approachable, red-cheeked waitress working at a small cafe. Little did they know, beneath it all was one of the most dangerous yet fascinating characters of Chainsaw Man. Reze was born in the Soviet Union, with her entire life shaped by a brutal secret program that was solely designed to create super soldiers that were loyal to the state. As a child, Reze was subjected to harsh military-level training and invasive experiments that transformed her from a regular human to a weapon. The most defining moment of her transformation came when a portion of the Bomb Devil's body was implanted into her, using her humanity with the destructive essence of a devil. It was from this point forward that Reze became a hybrid and one of the most lethal assets of the USSR. Nothing but part human and part devil. Her cover being that of a waitress, she was sent to Japan with the sole purpose of getting close to Denji and wooing the Chainsaw Man. It was this very cover that made her the central villain of the Bomb Girl arc, where her dual nature, being affectionate yet ruthless, sent her for a loop. Reze is somebody whose origin is quite tragic, but shaped her into someone that's both dangerous and unforgettable. A victim as well as a villain, if you will. How did Reze meet Denji? Reze's initial meeting with Denji seems so ordinary that it's almost a perfect meet-cute, which is in itself just so unlike Chainsaw Man. The first meeting between the two happens during a rainstorm, where Denji takes shelter inside a phone booth, and out of nowhere, Reze rushes in too, greeting him with a laugh and a casual remark about the weather. From the get-go, Reze comes off as this warm, approachable girl that's just a bit flirtatious, which is the polar opposite of the harsh world Denji has been accustomed to. Unlike the people around him who don't hesitate to exploit and manipulate him, Reze is a breath of fresh air who seems to have this genuine kindness to her. The way she talks to him, teases him, and makes him laugh actually gives him a taste of what being an actual teenager is like. Soon after, she invites him to the cafe and their interactions grow increasingly personal. At one point, she even takes Denji to a classroom, giving him basic lessons for fun and expressing how unfair it was that he never got to attend school, and questions if his devil-hunting life truly made him happy. A question Denji couldn't really answer. Of course, all of this was calculated, as it was a deliberate effort on Reze's part to woo Denji and make him let his guard down. Whether it was through teaching him how to swim or the meaningful conversations they shared, she finally succeeded in gaining his trust. What is Reze's true mission? Behind Reze's oh-so-sweet smile and her easy charm lies a mission far darker than Denji could have ever imagined her being associated with. As previously discussed, the very reason she ever met Denji in that phone booth, or their obvious charisma built over time, wasn't in any way natural. It was because the Soviet Union had sent her to steal his heart. Not romantically, but quite literally. The Soviets wanted to take the Chainsaw Man's heart into their possession, considering the immense power it contained, which had the force to restructure the balance of strength between nations completely. Reze, being a hybrid, was a perfect candidate to complete the mission, not through the use of brute strength, but rather by strategizing. Under the cover of being a harmless waitress, she infiltrated Denji's circle of trust and got close to him without raising any suspicions. The sad part is, Reze represented the most normal that Denji had ever gotten, but even that normal was nothing but a front for her to carry out her cold, calculated mission. What does Reze look like in human and hybrid form? In her human form, Reze is the picture of innocence, with a slender build and conventionally attractive features like her hair and eyes. She's also supposedly prone to blushing, which adds to her shy demeanor and charm. She also dons a choker, which may seem harmless from afar, but in reality, it's not a style statement, but rather it hides the grenade pin that's lodged in her neck, her true, authentic self that's far from what she projects herself as. Her outfits also shift depending on the situation, and this also influences the way she's perceived in that moment. When we first meet her, she's in a casual, loose skirt with a bell design and a backpack, the kind of look you'd expect from any harmless, normal girl. Later, During her fight against Denji in public safety, her look takes a sharp turn with her donning a sleeveless white blouse tucked into high-waisted black shorts and paired with thigh-high stockings and loafers, giving her a polished and professional vibe. Her hybrid form, however, reveals just what Reze is capable of. As the Bomb Devil hybrid, she becomes the embodiment of a living weapon herself, with bombs trailing down her arms, dynamite forming into an apron, and her smile now transformed into a devilish grin revealing jagged teeth. This appearance reveals a side that's bestowed upon her by the devil himself. What is Reze's personality like? At first glance, Reze seems like the textbook definition of the girl next door who very obviously has a crush on Denji. From the minute they share coffee together at the cafe, she seems amused by his actions and draws closer to him. She teases him lightly, calling him such a kid when he forces himself to drink coffee, but then, in another instance, she also displays a sympathetic side to her that is sad when she finds out that Denji never attended school or had a normal life. From the surface level, at least, she comes off as someone who truly sees him for what he is. But as we find out soon enough, every inch of her personality is constructed in a way that appeals to Denji and fulfills his need for a bit of normalcy in his otherwise chaotic world. Every laugh, every blush, even her flustered reactions, all of it was part of her training that she's had since childhood to make her the perfect infiltrator. Yet, what makes her so compelling are the cracks that often seep through, which give us a glimpse of what her actual personality is like. Despite it being her mission to steal Denji's heart, there are many moments of hesitation and regret that suggest her feelings might not have been entirely fake. This is why her decision to miss the train at the end of the Bomb Girl arc hits so hard. It hints at the inner conflict within her, wherein she has a duty to complete, but after all, like Denji, she too craves a normal life. How does Reze transform to Bomb Girl? Reze's transformation is as terrifying as it is unique. For Reze, unlike the other hybrids whose trigger is a weapon, her weapon is a part of her own body. It's actually a grenade pin lodged in her throat, and she tries to cover it up by means of a choker. When she pulls it, she sets off an explosion that's designed not to kill her, but to unleash her hybrid form, taking her from normal everyday girl to a living weapon. But Reze's transformation into Bomb Girl goes way beyond that. She can use the grenade pin in brutally creative ways to gain the upper hand in battles. One of the most iconic yet weirdly unsettling techniques is where she pulls the pin and blows off her own head, leaving behind a headless decoy body that moves and fights. This decoy isn't just a form of distraction, it can even hold her severed head, throw it, and trigger a massive explosion. All the while, the real Reze emerges fully transformed and ready to strike. All of these tricks transform her into an unpredictable weapon that can be barely defended against. Safe to say, when Reze becomes a Bomb Girl, you know all hell is about to break loose. What are Reze's main powers and abilities? Once Reze pulls the grenade pin in her neck, she brings in a wave of pure destruction and chaos. As we mentioned, her signature ability is generating massive explosions that are strong enough to obliterate cars, buildings, and even blast asphalt roads. Strangely enough, however, these blasts don't seem to affect her in any way, which means she can continue to fight recklessly without fear for her life. With an ability called explosive propulsion, she can burst off her arms and legs and propel herself forward, turning her own body into a missile. This allows her to cover a distance quickly by soaring into the air and even keep up with speeding vehicles. Combine this crazy power-up with her natural agility, and Reze is basically unmatched at the time of battle. Her strength is just as lethal as the rest of her abilities. Every punch or kick she throws can be powered through with explosive force, letting her demolish trucks and launch Denji several feet through the air. On top of that, she uses the explosions to dramatically increase her speed and rockets herself into combat even before the enemies see her coming. Every fight with her feels like a countdown, and you never truly know when the next explosion will go off, only that it'll be too fast to react to. Does Reze have any weaknesses? In spite of her wide array of strengths, Reze wasn't invincible. In fact, her powers were haunted by her one critical weakness, and that was water. Obviously, for her to activate and use her strengths, it required an explosion, but for an explosion to occur, there needed to be sparks to ignite, and obviously water nullifies her ability to burst up in an explosion. When she's soaked, she loses her biggest advantage, which obviously makes her vulnerable in combat. This weakness of hers was severely exploited in the Bomb Girl arc, where, after falling in water, her strengths and abilities were stripped off of her in the blink of an eye, forcing her to rely on her hand-to-hand physical combat abilities. This weakness actually adds an important layer of balance to her character. Without this vulnerability of hers, she would have been nearly unstoppable in combat, but she needs dry conditions to use her ability to their optimum, which forces her to be aware of her conditions and be ready with a plan B if things go south. Other than her biggest weakness being water, Reze has one other weakness that a lot of people aren't aware of or just don't think of as a vulnerability. In fact, Reze's humanity is something of a sore spot for her. In spite of staying loyal and true to her duty as a hybrid, her emotional conflict in terms of Denji holds her back from becoming a complete killing machine that just spreads destruction without a thought. What skills does Reze possess beyond her powers? To add on to her already phenomenal powers, Reze also has quite a few skills that make her even deadlier in combat. Owing to her background in the Soviet Union's Super Soldier program, she is a highly trained and incredibly dangerous fighter that can fight her way out of any situation, no matter how dire. One of her most notable talents is her skill with knives. She wasn't just decent at it, but actually had a way with knives that made her seem like an assassin with impeccable precision. In fact, in one swift motion, she was able to slice through Denji's wrist before he could even react or pull his chainsaw cord. Apart from this, Reze also excels in hand-to-hand combat. Without having to explode into her hybrid form, Reze has the ability to disarm, restrain, and incapacitate opponents in seconds, all with her swift and agile reflexes. At one point, she even broke Denji's neck effortlessly, paralyzing him instantly during their hand-to-hand combat. Beyond her physical combat skills, Reze also possesses bilingualism. She can fluently switch between Japanese and Russian, which not only supported her role as a spy, but also gave her an added edge. What happens to Reze after the Bomb Girl arc? Unlike what most people assumed has happened after the Bomb Girl arc, Reze doesn't die after the reunion attempt with Denji. She just isn't a character that can be written off that quickly. Instead, it's revealed that Reze was kidnapped by Makima and brainwashed. This twist turns the entire trajectory of her fate, alongside also revealing how Makima, despite being someone who thrives on having the final say in most situations and will manipulate her way to it, spared Reze not because she felt sorry for her, but rather as a utility. Reze reappears during the Control Devil arc as a member of Special Division 5, which is a squad of powerful weapon hybrids that are resurrected and repurposed by Makima for her own agenda. With the other hybrids like Quan Chi and Katana Man by her side, she's forced to fight against the Chainsaw Devil. What makes this version of Reze unsettling is her uncharacteristic affection towards Makima, where once was a hybrid with a humane side to her, now stood nothing but a loyal puppet, at the beck and call of a woman who pulled every string with cold precision and for her own benefit. Did Reze ever truly love Denji? After the explosive battle comes to an end, Reze, dressed as a civilian, considers getting aboard the train. With Denji's final words ringing in her ears about him waiting for her at the cafe, and upon seeing the flower that Denji had given her, she changes her mind, makes her way towards the cafe in hopes of finally getting the chance to live a normal life with Denji, just as they'd talked about. But she's intercepted by a swarm of rats that turns into a humanoid figure, who then turns out to be Makima. Knowing she had no way to get out of this situation, Reze, who's ready to give it all just for a chance to live out her shared dream with Denji, prepares to fight. Just as Reze's attempts at attack are dodged by Makima and Angel Devil, her lifespan begins to deplete. In her dying moments, Reze wonders why she couldn't bring herself to kill Denji when she had. The emotional conflict inside her and the missed chance of redemption confirmed that not only did she empathize with him, she also had a soft spot for him. Why is Reze considered a fan favorite? Reze is widely regarded as one of Chainsaw Man's most beloved characters, and the upcoming movie, wherein we'd be able to see her arc exclusively, is a testament to her being a true fan favorite. Her popularity is reflected in the series' official polls. She ranked 4th in the first poll with 19,079 votes, and 5th in the second with an impressive 45,741 votes. Her comparatively short role in the story, and that too as just a side character, really highlights the fact that she made a strong connection with the audience that left a lasting impression. And if you must know, not only is she a fan favorite, but also the author Tatsuki Fujimoto's favorite, which he admitted in a 2020 interview. Fujimoto was all praise for her character and the emotional depth and tragic vulnerability she brought to the story. Interestingly, before Chainsaw Man was ever written, Fujimoto had envisioned a completely separate story titled Ibuki, in which the heroine was also named Reze, showing just how much she lingered in his creative imagination right from the start. Although Denji later replaced her as his favorite in 2021, Reze would forever remain iconic. Marvelous verdict. Reze was a character that was introduced as nothing but a side plot, a love interest to add a bit of flavor, but who would have predicted this bomb girl would propel herself, literally and figuratively, into the hearts of the fans. Her origins, abilities, and fate make her an unforgettable addition to the series, and to be able to witness her own arc in the upcoming movie only heightens our excitement. So, do you think Reze's brainwashing under Makima erased her humanity, or do traces of her true self still remain? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, but that's it for this one, and we hope to see you in the next